So I watched Late Bloomer. Now for me, Jusreign was the GOAT. I loved all of his videos, his vines, his Instagram, whatever, all that kind of stuff. Like, he was the GOAT, the greatest YouTuber of all time. So I probably set my expectations a little too high when I heard news that he was making a show. I was like, this is Jusreign, bro. This is the GOAT. Like, every single video he makes is great. Like, the show has to be good. And then I watched the first episode, and unfortunately, I thought it was kind of mid. I don't want to be harsh or anything, but I gotta say the truth. And for me, it was kind of mid. And I'm not saying the whole episode was bad. Like, the beginning of the episode was phenomenal. The first couple of minutes, like, the mom's quote unquote slaving away in the kitchen, right? Always cooking the food and all this kind of stuff. And then the argument kind of starts over nothing. Dad's blaming the mom for spoiling the kids. Parents calling their kids failures. Haha, I don't relate with that at all. Haha. And I was just watching that, and I was like, yo, this is me, bro. This is me. These are my parents. This is my, this is what I live in. This is my life right here. But like, I was just like, this is me. Like, I felt so recognized and seen, and I was like, okay, bro, this show is gonna be great. And then it just kind of went downhill really quickly. We got the scene with Jusreign taking nudes. I didn't really think we were gonna see his ass cheeks, and I didn't really want to. I felt like I got violated, bro. Like, like, we watch Jusreign as a kid, like as kids or like teens, most of us, anyways. So for me, like, the vibe, like my parasocial relationship with him, like, he's like an older cousin type of dude, and I don't really want to see my family's ass cheeks. I don't really want to see dude ass cheeks in general. So it's just kind of very weird and strange, and I just felt like that scene went on for too long. I know it's supposed to be funny, but like, for me, it just kind of felt weird. And I was like, oh, this show is gonna be different, and that's why Jusreign probably put that in the first episode, I think, just to kind of like set the tone for the rest of the series. And another thing that was kind of weird for me was the laptop scene, where it gets stolen, and then he kind of confronts the white girl about it, and she's like, oh, it's just your friend, like, brown guy, beard, I was like, does that kind of shit really happen? Like, people just like, just assume like that's your friend because they're also brown and shit. I haven't really seen that kind of stuff, but do people really do that? Like, I don't know, that just seemed a little too like exaggerated. I'm sure, like, shit like that probably happens, like, but for me, like, that just seemed a little too exaggerated. And in the skits and stuff, like, that works because it's comedy. It's not meant to be serious. But this show, I feel like it was trying to be, it is drama and comedy, right? So I feel like it was more of like a relatively serious scene. But when you do that kind of comedy, which just doesn't really seem real, it kind of takes away from the seriousness of the scene, and it kind of just like ruins the immersion. And the worst part of this episode was this one joke that they made multiple times.
Why is this laptop thing so urgent anyways? We got nudes on it or some shit? Please tell me that you left your face out of them. Oh my god, just means no, not the face. Never the face.
And it's basically just like, you're not supposed to take nudes with your face in it. So like, every single time, Jess would explain to someone else like what happened, oh, his nudes got stolen, they'd just be like, oh, you didn't take it with your face in it, did you? Oh, you did? Oh, everyone knows you're not supposed to take nudes with your face in it, not with the face. And they would say it like that too, and it was just, I just cringed every single time. Like, for me, it wasn't even funny the first time, and the other 3 times they repeated it, it just got old real quick. So that was probably the worst part of the whole episode, and probably why I think this episode was mid, probably just mostly because of that. But hey, at least we got to see Babu. And episode 2 was basically just Jusreign struggling with YouTube, and I really resonated with the episode because I'm brown and I'm also struggling with YouTube. I don't think a lot of other people liked it, but for me, that was one of my favorite episodes actually. Now, I'm not gonna go into super detail for each episode because I realize I'm kind of ass at describing things, so I'm just gonna talk about the series as a whole. One thing I really liked about Late Bloomer is that the parents spoke Punjabi. Because for a lot of these shows, a lot of quote-unquote brown shows, now I don't watch all the shows in the world, right? So I don't know, I can only tell from what I've seen, but I watch Never Have I Ever, right? It's literally about a South Asian person and a South Asian family. I've seen Miss Marvel, and for these shows, the parents, for the most part, spoke in English, even at home. And that just takes away from the show, because how is it for South Asian people if I don't see South Asian languages? Like, how am I supposed to relate to that if that's not my parents, and those are my parents, right? For late bloomer, I saw those parents. I saw the way they yelled at their kids. I saw the way they argued. I saw the way they spoke. I'm like, these are my parents.
Please, roti khade wale kish na karo.
ਆਹੀ ਕੁਝ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਨਾ ਲਾਡ ਪਿਆਰ ਕਰੋ.
These are my fucking parents right here. And I love that. And I'm really happy Just did that. And apparently Just had to fight for that shit because the episodes had to have English spoken for like a certain amount of time or something.
I remember there was a language thing that we couldn't have a certain percentage of non-English in the show, and that was like a rule from the government.
What?
Yeah, and we didn't know about that, and we're like, what? And so it's like, yeah, you know, well, can you like make the character speak English? And I'm like, there's a dad-centric episode. I'm like, he's not going out with his homies. They're like, hello, gentlemen, how are you guys doing? What are you guys up to? What up, I'm like, this is our language. Like, Punjabi is our language. Like, that's, if it's good, it's good. If it's real, it's real. And so you have to push for that. That was a big rule that we had to get changed. And like, you'd be like, well, you can't do it. We had to, there was like, okay, then who do we appeal to? There was not even a committee to appeal that rule. Because there's like, nobody's ever done that. That's how it is. Wow. And so they had to create like a committee to appeal this rule so we could make an exception for these shows and to get Punjabi speaking into it. So it's like,
but we live in an age where subtitles are everywhere, right? Most people watch anime with subtitles. You know, K-dramas are so popular, Korean movies, you know, all this kind of stuff. Like, people watch stuff with subtitles. We don't need English all the time. I'm happy that he fought for that, and I'm so happy that the parents actually do speak Punjabi for the most part. Now, I do have some problems with the show. The first being Just's acting.
Because honestly, I thought from your videos you were more of a feminist.
Oof, not you hitting me right in the feminism.
I think the acting in general was really solid, especially the parents. The parents kill that shit. The dad, bro, that was my dad. Everybody else, you know, they were I didn't really see any big problem with it. I think it's just like whenever Just would come on screen and like it would be like a tense, stressful kind of situation, or just random scenes, right? You could just kind of tell he was acting.
Hey, what happened?
What do you mean?
My laptop, it's gone.
And it would just take away from the seriousness of the scene. And another thing that I want to talk about is at times like the story just felt forced. Like a lot of things felt forced. It was a story as well as like Just's character. Like he was an asshole at times for no reason at all, right? And like his character was just so unlikable. It's just like, damn, bro, like I don't want to see that. And I feel like it's kind of like a trend with a lot of shows nowadays, where the main character's kind of just like dickhead, and then it's all for like character development and all this kind of. It's like, man, come on, bro. Like, don't you know? It should at least make sense. Like that one episode where like, you know, he's getting hate from that fan, right? And he's just so obsessed, and like, you know, his mom told him to do one thing, and yet he throws it all away because he was so obsessed with this hater and like just spent all his time and didn't care about anyone else or anything, right? Or his friends were trying to talk to him, whatever, he just didn't care. It was just all about him, and he's just like such a selfish person in the episode, right? And I'm like, why is that? You know, like that just didn't seem natural at all. Like it just kind of weird. I guess it wouldn't be as entertaining if it wasn't as, I don't know, extra, I guess. But like still, I felt that was like a little over the top and it's just not necessary. And especially later on where the last two episodes, I guess, right? Where, you know, they find Neil's weed, and then Just kind of takes the blame and has that whole fight with his family. And later on, in the ending, when he's talking to Neil, he's just a fucking dickhead, like blaming him for all this shit, just being rude, just saying extra like dickhead shit that isn't even necessary at all. And I was like, why is this going, you know? And I'm sure they're setting up again for character development, right? Like season 2, season 3, whatever. He's gonna be like, oh my god, look, he's better now, he apologized and all this shit. But it's just like, just make it seem natural. I don't know, for me it just felt so forced, and it's just another thing that made the show a little less enjoyable. So overall, I would rate this show an 8 out of 10. Now, I'm rating it 8 out of 10 because it is a South Asian show, and I think because like just how relatable it is, it automatically boosts it up a couple points. Because if I wasn't South Asian, I would probably rate this show a 6 out of 10. Because for me, like if I had to describe the show, I would say it's kind of like a roller coaster, right? Like there's moments that are phenomenal, right? There's just like some scenes that are phenomenal, like 10 out of 10 scenes, but there's a lot of scenes that aren't phenomenal, right? There's a lot of scenes that are kind of mid, you know, even like, I mean, I would even go as far as say some scenes were boring. So when you average it all out, that's why it's an 8 out of 10 for me. but there is a lot of potential with the show. So hopefully there is a season 2 or however many seasons they want. Hopefully they all get greenlit. And I know, you know, these, like, they probably didn't have the biggest budget. It's the first time making the show. So all this kind of stuff, like, there's a lot of room for improvement. And I'm excited for season 2. Hopefully it does come out. But yeah, that's my review. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe for more content. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Peace.